Hey, Dan Beagleman here. In this video, I'll teach you how to play Frankenstein by Edgar Winter. I'll show you all the guitar parts, and I'll also show you saxophone and synthesizer lines that were played, arranged for a guitar. For all the parts I'll show you, there'll be music sheets to accompany, written out in both music notation and tablature. Because this tune is very involved, I'm going to basically do it in different sections. The first half of the video I'll deal with the guitar parts, and then the second half of the video I'll show you synthesizer lines and saxophone lines arranged for guitar. Section 1 for the guitar, Frankenstein, is this basic riff that's very recognizable. Okay, and that's played twice. Now what's interesting about this line here, it's based on power chords, or fifths, if you will. Song is in the key of G minor. Here's a G note on string 4, fret 5. If I play this just as a single line, it still sounds like the tune. If I played it an octave lower, which actually the synthesizer is going to play, I'll show you that later. Okay, as soon as you hear that line, it's instantly recognizable. Frankenstein. Right, now as I mentioned, these are based on power chords. So most times with power chords, they're played where you have the root note on string 6 and then a fifth above on string 5, like that. If I play that intro to Frankenstein with the power chords as usually played, it would sound like this. Right? It doesn't sound wrong, it doesn't sound bad, but it's not correct. The way that it's played is it's inverted fifths. In other words, as I showed you a moment ago. So there's the main notes for the song, for that part, but I'm going to put a fifth underneath. So again, when you play this, if you play this power chord, where the fifth is on top, if I add an octave on string 4, I have root, fifth, and root. So this, I'm going to ignore string 6, and now I'm just going to have, so I have again still a G5 or a G power chord, but it's not root 5, it's 5 root. So now it's played this way, you'll hear how it sounds correctly. Right? So again, it's inverted fifths. Another tune that uses this is Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. And a lot of people might be playing it this way. Sounds like the song, right? Nothing wrong with that. If you played it that way, it wouldn't be terrible, but it's not correct. Instead of playing the power chords with the root and the fifth above, if you played it just like the inverted fifths, like with Frankenstein, sounds a lot more like the recording. So an interesting thing, when you're playing power chords, you can have root 5 or 5 root. It has a different inflection. Okay, so again, the first part of Frankenstein is this riff. Play it again. Section 2 of Frankenstein. And what's happening, the first 2 bars of this part, synthesizer is going to double that, and then the guitar trails off and does, but the sax does something else. And I'll show you that again, as I mentioned, when I show you the sax and synthesizer lines in part 2. Okay, so again, part 2 for the guitar. Okay, part 3. That line I just played, it's going to go up a fifth. So here's those 2 lines, those 4 bars. Okay, part 4. I have these half-step bends. A half-step bend, release, and a pull-off. Repeat. Okay, back to the head riff again. On part 6, the guitar becomes a rhythm guitar and is not playing a line, as there's now a saxophone solo that's going to go on for 8 bars. And the guitar is basically going to be playing, the chord cycle is like a 1 minor 4. It's like G minor or G minor 7 to the 4 chord C major. Right? It's almost like a Santana kind of a thing. Evil Ways, Oye Como Va. You know, we have a minor chord, and then you go to the 4 chord as a major. So here's the rhythm guitar underneath the synthesizer solo. It's going to do this 4 times. Okay, and the synth solo is going to continue, and the guitar is just at this point now going to go and play, which is kind of like a G minor 9 chord. And return to the first part 2 times. Okay, section 7 for the guitar. This is a little bit more involved now. There's some lines being played that are based on the G Dorian mode. G Dorian mode is like a minor scale with a raised 6th, or you could think of it as a major scale played 1 whole step under your key. Okay, so again, section 7 is going to be based on G Dorian mode, and this is a little bit more involved. There's going to be 8 measures on this part. Okay, the first 4 measures, the first half of section 7 is this. Okay, the next section, or the second half of section 7 is this. Okay, a little bit more involved there. You got some movement on your left hand. One more time. Okay, and the last 2 bars of section 7 gets a little nutty. The feel of this is kind of goes to a 12/8 feel for a moment. It's going to be almost or like triplets. Kind of like that. So da 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 da. So here's that last part of section 7. Here's section 7, all 8 measures. Okay, section 8 of Frankenstein guitar is based on a G minor pentatonic scale. And what's interesting about the way it's constructed, or put together, G minor pentatonic scale, it's a 5-tone scale. Your standard like rock blues scale, if you will. Starts off by hitting the key note, then hitting a note below it in the scale, then the next note above, and come back. that's the general idea of how the line was designed. And here's how the line goes on the recording. Right? So it's, again, a little syncopation in the phrasing, but again, it's a G minor pentatonic scale. You hit a note, go one below it in the scale, then one above. So you're kind of looping this over. You hit a note, go back, then jump up two, go back, jump up two, go back. Right? And again, but when you put it together with the correct phrasing, you have. And it's played twice. So the second half now of section 8, just based on the G minor pentatonic scale. Section 9 of Frankenstein guitar is going to be whole step string bends going up or ascending as a Dorian mode. As I mentioned earlier, the G Dorian mode is like an F major scale or G minor with a sharp 6, but the notes in a G Dorian mode are G, A, B flat, C, D, E, natural, F. Okay? If I played that on string 1, I'd have. Okay? What's happening on the part is that, as I mentioned, they're whole step bends. So you're going to bend a whole step to this G note here, you know, from the F whole step under F on string 2. All these notes are going to be played on string 2. You're going to bend an F note to a whole step to G. Okay, again, I'm following the G Dorian mode. I'm bending whole steps to G, A, B flat, C, D, E natural, F, G, and ending on B flat. So here's section 9. Whole step bends for half notes. In other words, each of these are going to last for 2 beats, and they're played with a wah-wah. For section 10, it changes up from 4/4 to a 12/8 feel, and there's some ad-lib synthesizer fills. And the guitar is going to be playing just pretty sparse on this section, but again, it's in 12/8. So if you're counting like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And it sits on this G note here. Again, and those notes were just part of the G minor pentatonic scale. Then there's a whole section of kind of synthesizer and percussion. Edgar Winter being a multi-talented musician, playing keyboards, saxophone, drums, and percussion, as well as an incredible vocalist and songwriter too. So, you know, Edgar Winter, pretty serious guy. Okay, so again, at this section there is no guitar, and it's just, as I said, like some ad-lib synthesizer stuff and percussion. Okay. Section 11 comes back to the main head riff that was played in section 1, those power chords. Section 12. What happens on section 12 now is the guitar is going to actually double the synthesizer, where at the beginning the guitar played this. Now it's going to be playing it an octave lower. which doubles the synthesizer, and the end of the line is a little bit different because we're coming to the end of the tune. So here's section 12, Frankenstein. Hold that note out. Section 13, which is now the outro of the song, is played in free time, and the guitar part is, again, back to where I showed you before about the fifths, the inverted fifths I mentioned, like that. Here, it can be the same thing, an octave higher. Here I have an inverted fifth here I have a G5 inverted fifth, where I'm playing D and G. If I do this an octave higher in strings 2 and 1, I have D and G here. On this section, I'm going to be thinking G minor pentatonic on string 1 and playing it in fifths with the fifth underneath it on string 2. So if I play a G minor pentatonic scale on string 1, I'll have F, G, here's my root note here, F, G, B flat, C, D, F, G, B flat if I want to continue, and if I put the fifth underneath, what I would have as far as note choices, I have okay, and again this part is played in free time, but it kind of has like a 16th note kind of a feel to it. And now I'll play all the guitar parts to Frankenstein. 2, 3, 4. Okay, and what's happening here is a breakdown with a synthesizers and percussion playing. Okay, and now we go to a 12/8 feel. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. then again, another section of free time synthesizers and percussion drums. Then there's a little drum pickup to bring us back to tempo, and we'll come into the end of the tune, back to the head riff again. Frankenstein guitar. And now I'll show you the synthesizer and saxophone lines that Edgar Winter played on Frankenstein, arranged for guitar. Okay, starting off with the beginning of the tune. As you saw earlier, the guitar is playing this in fifths. Edgar Winter's playing single lines an octave lower on the synthesizer. Okay, so here's part one, or section one, of the saxophone synthesizer section of Frankenstein. And that repeats. Okay, and now following the guitar line but an octave lower. And now it veers off where you saw earlier in the guitar section. You hear what the synthesizer is playing on that section is this. It starts with the G note and it's bent 1.5 steps. So here is section 2 of the synthesizer now. Okay, now next section, section 3, is a 4-bar phrase. The first 2 measures, the synthesizer doubles the guitar, and then for the second half of that, where the guitar went up a fifth of that, the synthesizer is just going to go up a whole step. So the guitar is playing, but the synthesizer is going to be playing. So the first half of that section, they are played in unison, and now the synthesizer just goes up a whole step, but will now harmonize in fifths to the guitar part. Okay, and a similar thing happens on the next section. For the first 2 bars, the synthesizer is going to double the guitar, and the guitar continues playing that again. This synthesizer now drops down, so you get that harmony there. Okay, next section, same as the first. Okay, the next section is an 8-bar ad-lib synthesizer solo, so I did not transcribe that. Okay, section after that, after the solo, the guitar is still playing this rhythm guitar part, but the synthesizer is playing a signature line that you'll recognize as soon as I play it. Here is the next section that is played on a saxophone, and at times is going to be playing harmony to the guitar. For the first, about the first half of it, it's going to be kind of playing harmony, and then the second part is going to be playing like a counterpoint. Here's the next section played saxophone. Okay, 2, 3, 4. also is based on the Dorian mode. And then you have that breakdown where there's drums, percussion, and synthesizer, ad-lib. That continues for a while. And then the next section that comes in on the guitar, you have, remember that part? Again, under that ad-lib, synthesizer, percussion, and stuff like that. Next section, we come back to the head again. And then the outro of the song where the guitar is playing, as I showed you again earlier. You know, those double stops like that, just playing power chords. Alright, and then you could just end with like a G7 sharp 9 chord. Okay, those are the signature lines played on the synthesizer and saxophone on Frankenstein. And now I'll play the synthesizer and saxophone parts so you can hear how they sound together. Okay, 2, 3, 4. Then we have an 8-bar synthesizer solo, which I did not transcribe, and then we have this. Then the synthesizer and the sax lay out for quite a while. Then there's another section of ad-lib synthesizer with percussion, and then we come back to the head section again for the outro of the tune. And now while the guitar is playing, as I mentioned, that free form, that you could just playing G5 power chords, and then those are all the guitar parts and the synthesizer and saxophone parts arranged for guitar for Frankenstein by Edgar Winter. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. It's a free way to help the channel grow. And please leave any questions or comments in the comments section below. I did a performance video of this song where I played both parts on a split screen along with a drums and bass rhythm track. So if you'd like to check that out, on my homepage there are playlists, and in the performance playlist you'll be able to see me performing this song with a split screen, one screen playing the guitar parts, the other screen playing the synthesizer and the saxophone with a full rhythm track, and it sounds like the song. So this way you can really hear everything coming together. And lastly, if you like original progressive instrumental rock music, check out my other channel, Dan Beagleman Music. I'm Dan Beagleman, and that's Frankenstein by Edgar Winter. Have a nice day.